Welcome to the first Unmasking Postpartum Mood Disorder Conference. I come to you today in the hope that as representatives of the medical, educational, research, and general community, we can find solidarity and purpose and a willingness to help the many families that are devastated with postpartum mood disorders. My husband, Darren, and I stand before you this morning to share our experience so that you'll have a better understanding of the experience and the effects of postpartum psychosis. I am a survivor. I'm a woman who is using her voice to speak out for the many women who feel ashamed and isolated by this disease. I sincerely hope that you'll come away from this conference with a greater empathy, education, and experience of mental illness, postpartum mood disorders, and the collective common feelings that women and families experience. I'm going to share with you my experience now with my husband.
Good morning.
So our experience started at 25 weeks pregnancy. I was out having lunch with a girlfriend, and like most good girlfriends, they tell you, "Oh, you look wonderful." And I said, "Oh, that's nice, but I have fat ankles." And she looked at them and she said, "I think you should go see your obstetrician about that, because you never know." And luckily for me, no such thing as a coincidence, I got an appointment that afternoon. And I went to the obstetrician and I got the same spiel that I've been getting all along, you're gaining too much weight. And, we're a bit concerned about this. And, oh, while you're here, we're going to take your blood pressure. And so I sat down and the nurse took my blood pressure, and the look on her face was one of shock and disbelief. And she just said, "Just a minute, Tania, I'm going to go get the doctor." And so she went and got the doctor, and he came in and he checked my right arm, and then he checked my left arm, and then he checked my right arm again. And he looked at the nurse and he, gave her one of these. And he tells me, "You need to go to the emergency right now. Your blood pressure is way too high. We phoned your husband, he's coming to get you." Wow. So I sat in that waiting room for what seemed like hours.
It was only about 15 minutes.
And I bawled. I cried. I was scared. But I was feeling good. And I guess that's the bad thing about high blood pressure. I think that's why they call it the silent killer. And I felt fantastic. So my husband came to pick me up. I said to him, "Let's take the car to the condo so that, my car's at home," kind of thing. And while we're there, let's have supper. So you'll get to realize I'm quite naive. And anyway, so I went home, and we had a nice supper, and we went to the emergency. It's not good when you walk in there and they say, "We've been expecting you." And I went to the mother and baby, the labor and delivery unit, and I got strapped and was on watch for 24 hours. And naive me, I thought, no problem, I'll just phone work, and I'll be there the next day. So that was my experience with blood pressure, and it happened for the next 6 weeks, in and out of the hospital on longer stays. My original obstetrician was quite concerned, and for me, I think the whole thing sort of started when he pulled Darren outside of my hospital room and said,
He basically said that he wanted to go and get the baby. I think we were only about 26 weeks at that point, because he was scared. He was scared she was going to have a stroke or an aneurysm or
So this conversation, which I can hear, is, your wife or your baby, more or less, to my husband, and that doesn't help blood pressure. So whenever I saw that obstetrician, my blood pressure would go up another 10 points. And finally, I broke down and told a nurse. And I asked for a different specialist. And luckily, I got who I believe to be the best one in the city. And he took very good care of me for the next 6 weeks. And I had many ultrasounds. And hopefully they don't do anything to the child. But I had lots of ultrasounds. And I had, it was just sort of a very stressful time. And I was starting to get protein in my urine. So the medical community, I see some nods, kind of shaking of heads. Yeah, that's not good either. So at 31 weeks, so 9 weeks before I'm supposed to be due, my obstetrician, I'll call him Dr. C. Dr. C says to me, you're going to have an emergency C-section, and we want to you're going to have a preemie, and we want to show you what the NICU is all about. So we went on a tour with about 5 other couples-ish to the NICU, and that's devastating. And we were at the very end, and I couldn't do it. I asked Darren to take me back to my room.
I'd like to interject here, actually. The other people that were with us were from a prenatal class, so for them it was kind of a dog and pony show. Here's the ICU, but for us it was, here's where you're going to be tomorrow. So it was very
emotional. So the next day, my husband shows up, and he looks like he hasn't slept, and he probably didn't. Anyway, he's wearing a baseball hat, a t-shirt, shorts, and I get wheeled off, and I have an emergency C-section. I gave birth to a 2-pound, 16-ounce baby girl. She was this big. And for the longest time, we thought we were having a boy, because what the heck else could make you that sick? So out she comes, and they take her to the NICU. And in that moment, after I got cut, and Dr. C is doing whatever he needs to do, something happened inside my body. And my first reaction, I was holding my husband's hand and looking at his face, and I just thought, if I die, I want you to be the last person that I see. And I then went back to the mother baby unit, and that evening was my first experience then in the intensive care unit. I got sent there, I had my blood pressure rocketed. Normal blood pressure is 120/80. My blood pressure was 220/120. And I wasn't seeing spots. I felt good. I probably could have ran a marathon. But very serious. So I was hooked up. And that evening,